It was a bright and sunny morning when my family and I finally moved into our long-awaited cabin in the woods. Months of renovations, hauling supplies, and endless planning had led to this moment. We were eager to enjoy the peace, fresh air, and privacy that came with owning our own land. But within hours of settling in, that peace was shattered. Out of nowhere, a convoy of vehicles appeared at the entrance to our property. At the forefront was Karen, the notorious HOA president, flanked by her board members and a few self-appointed enforcers. They stormed onto our land, waving clipboards and yelling about violations, unapproved ownership, and how we were supposedly infringing on HOA territory. "Step aside. This is HOA property," Karen shouted, pointing at our freshly built cabin. "You must comply immediately." I stepped forward calmly, showing her the deeds and permits for the property. "Karen, this is private land. Our cabin sits entirely within our property lines, legally purchased and permitted. You have no jurisdiction here." Karen didn't listen. She began measuring, taking photos, and demanding we remove structures or pay fines. Her entourage nodded eagerly, trying to assert authority they didn't actually have. My family stood behind me, tense but resolute. But what Karen and her minions didn't know was that we had anticipated a confrontation. Hidden cameras had been installed around the perimeter, and we had discreetly contacted a retired federal law enforcement officer who had agreed to monitor the situation. Within minutes, the officer arrived, surveying the scene with a commanding presence that made even Karen pause. "Step back," the officer said, his voice steady. "This property is legally owned. You are trespassing." Karen's confident bluster faltered. She tried to argue, claiming HOA rules granted her authority over the land. But the officer's calm explanation of property law and jurisdiction made it clear that her claims were baseless. The self-appointed enforcers looked nervously at each other, realizing they had been dragged into a situation they couldn't control. Within minutes, Karen and her entourage were ordered to leave. She fumed, yelling about fines and rules, but the legal authority present ensured that her threats carried no weight. My family watched as she stomped away, humiliated and defeated. After the confrontation, we finally settled on the porch, taking in the serene landscape of our property. The sun reflected off the lake, birds chirped in the trees, and a sense of relief washed over us. Karen's attempt to intimidate and claim authority over our land had failed spectacularly. The story of that day spread quickly through the local community. Neighbors who had long been wary of Karen's overreach whispered about her defeat, and it became clear that her aggressive tactics had backfired. The HOA had started a war they were unprepared to fight. Over the following weeks, we installed additional security measures and maintained a low profile, but Karen made no further attempts to encroach on our land. The cabin remained a sanctuary, a symbol of our resilience and commitment to protecting what was rightfully ours. Looking back, the incident was a reminder that preparation, knowledge of property rights, and measured authority can neutralize even the most aggressive HOA overreach. Karen had stormed in thinking she could bully a family into submission, but she underestimated who she was dealing with. Our land, our cabin, and our peace remained intact, and the HOA quickly learned that some battles are not theirs to fight.